Chapter 1. The arrival. The Marshalls were a typical family looking for a fresh start. David Marshall, a successful architect, had been offered a lucrative project in Ravenbrook, and the move seemed like the perfect opportunity for him, his wife Sarah, and their two children, Emily, the youngest, and her older brother, Jacob, to begin a new chapter in their lives. When they first laid eyes on Ashmore House, they were captivated by its eerie charm. The large, ivy-covered mansion had an air of mystery that intrigued them. Despite its dilapidated state, David saw potential in its grand design. He envisioned restoring it to its former glory, turning it into a beautiful home for his family. As they approached the house, the atmosphere seemed to change. The sky darkened with ominous clouds, and a cold wind swept through the trees, rustling the dead leaves that carpeted the ground. Sarah shivered, pulling her coat tighter around her as they stepped out of the car. "Are you sure about this, David?" she asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. David smiled reassuringly, though he felt a strange unease that he couldn't quite place. "It's going to be amazing, Sarah. Just wait until we fix it up. It'll be a great adventure for all of us." Emily, clutching her stuffed bear, looked up at the towering structure with wide eyes. "It looks scary, Daddy," she whispered. Jacob, trying to act brave in front of his little sister, scoffed. "It's just an old house, Emily. Nothing to be scared of." The real estate agent, a nervous-looking man named Mr. Harlan, met them at the front door. He fumbled with the keys, glancing around as if expecting something to jump out at him from the shadows. "It's a very unique property," he said with a forced smile as he unlocked the door. "Lots of history." David nodded, eager to see the interior. The door creaked open, revealing a dark, musty hallway that smelled of damp wood and decay. The air was thick, almost oppressive, as if the house itself was aware of their presence. They stepped inside, their footsteps echoing in the vast, empty space. The grand staircase loomed ahead, its once polished banister now dull and covered in dust. The walls were lined with faded wallpaper, peeling at the edges, and the floorboards creaked under their weight. "This place is huge," Jacob exclaimed, his voice bouncing off the walls. David smiled, already planning how he would restore the house. "It has good bones. A little work, and it'll be perfect." As they explored the house, the unsettling feeling grew stronger. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, and every so often, they heard a faint whisper, like the sound of someone speaking just out of earshot. Sarah dismissed it as the wind playing tricks on them, but Emily clung to her mother's side, her eyes darting nervously around the rooms. They reached the second floor, where the bedrooms were located. The hallway was dark, the only light coming from a single window at the far end. The floor was covered in a thick layer of dust, and the air was colder here, sending a chill down their spines. David pushed open the door to what would be their bedroom. The room was large, with tall windows that overlooked the overgrown garden. A massive four-poster bed stood in the center, draped in dusty curtains that swayed slightly as if moved by an unseen hand. "It's beautiful," Sarah said, trying to sound enthusiastic, though she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. David wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "It's going to be great, Sarah. We'll make it our own." Emily wandered into the room that would be hers. It was smaller, cozier, with a large bay window that let in the pale light of the afternoon. She approached the window, peering out at the dense forest that surrounded the house. Something about the trees seemed off, they were too still, as if the forest was holding its breath. As they continued to explore, the unease they felt grew stronger. The house, once filled with the laughter and life of the Ashmore family, now seemed to pulse with a dark energy. The walls seemed to close in on them, and the air grew thicker, almost suffocating. When they finally left the house to return to their temporary accommodations in town, they felt an overwhelming sense of relief, as if they had narrowly escaped something they couldn't quite understand. But despite the unease, David was determined to move forward with the renovation. Little did they know that Ashmore House was far from empty. The spirits that had been trapped within its walls for decades were waking, stirred by the presence of the living. The Marshalls had unknowingly disturbed a dark force, and the house would soon reveal its true nature.